Right now, my interest is really making things that confuse and where you don't have a language to understand it. I and Futurefarmers are really interested in creating work where you feel like you don't know what's going on, and in that moment of not knowing, you're more open, or you might be frustrated, but that a different kind of questioning starts to happen. Hi, my name's Amy Franceschini, and we are in my studio in San Francisco in the Mission District. It's also the studio of Futurefarmers, which is a collective that I've been part of since 1994. We come together around invitations from museums or public art projects. We basically have a commitment to each other to do a work that challenges us to kind of move beyond our skill set or practice a new knowledge base or learn something together. We did a project in Philadelphia called Soil Kitchen. We occupied an abandoned building and we put a windmill on the roof, and the windmill powered just enough electricity inside of the building to illuminate it. And in the bottom floor we had a Soil Kitchen, which was a free soil testing facility, and while you got your soil tested you could eat soup. And we ran workshops for 6 days around how to remediate toxic soil, how to make windmills out of bike parts. And I think the thing that got people talking was a lot of people in the neighborhood would walk by, and they had seen this abandoned building for 20 years, and it used to be a restaurant, and they saw that there was soup being served, but then there was piles of soil. And there was this moment where they're like, what is this place? Is it a store? Is it a garden supply shop? What's going on? And I think in that little moment, there was an opportunity to talk about politics of toxic soil in urban spaces, where maybe if you met that person in a different context, they wouldn't want to talk about it. I think it's just being awake and seeing like what's going on in a community and just kind of mirroring back like, hey, you guys have a history of farming here, or hey, there's ways to clean up soil that they exist. When we're invited to do public art projects, there's always a phase of research where you get to go on a site visit and just kind of start to put puzzle pieces together. And I think by virtue of just having that time to be paying attention to the questions that are guiding your inquiry is really, really important. Part of being an artist is being the tourist that's very tuned in. I feel like I am a product of San Francisco. My art is a product of San Francisco, but of a very particular time frame. The city was full of young artists living really cheaply, doing projects because they wanted to, not because they were invited to do a project at a gallery or starting their own galleries. The city was really fraught with small galleries in strange places, garages, hallways. There's a spirit of collaboration that I don't think I've experienced anywhere else. Like, if an artist had a show, they would invite other artists to be in it, and we were kind of like a big family. The greatest gift in life is making a connection with another human being that is beyond words. So I think that's something that I try to do in my work is create a framework where many people can have an experience that's kind of everlasting. Honestly, I think if I worked alone, I would talk myself out of everything I do. When I work alone, I'm like, that's not good enough, that's not good enough. And I never can finish something, or I never feel like I'm proud of something. When I collaborate with people, I might have a silly idea and the other person says, yeah, that's great. And same thing, like my collaborator will have an idea, well, I was thinking about this, but I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. I'll speak for myself, but I think we're very distracted these days. We're in front of our computers all the time. I'm in front of one 12 to 14 hours a day, and it's quite a sad existence. So I think anything that I can do to try to kind of bring us back to our senses, myself included, I consider a work of art. And maybe that's kind of a sign of our times.